Softr isn't just a front end anymore. Now you can build databases and automations or workflows directly in Softr and use AI to do most of the heavy lifting. In the next 15 minutes, we're going to build a project's application from scratch to be used internally. Then we're going to wire up two automations. A dead simple router that's going to give a project to a specific person, and then a more complicated version of that can route and path and make more complicated decisions based on the needs of your project assignments. We build no-code solutions just like this every week for our clients. And while the tool does matter, the most important thing is getting the structure right. And in this video, we're going to be showing both. So if you're ready to learn how to launch an application quickly using AI, workflows, a front end, and a database all built in Softr, stick around and let's get into it. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Gareth and this is Gap Consulting. And it's our mission to help you unlock the full potential of no-code tools. The tool we're looking at today is Softr, and it is at the forefront of the no-code tools that we use day in and day out for our clients. Now, while I'm building this, it's meant to be interactive as much as a video can be. And the best way to get good at this is to practice it. So spin up your own instance and go through the same things that I'm going through here so that you can learn how to better implement these tools. If you're not already using Softr, you can grab a free trial of their pro account by following the instructions that you see on your screen right now. This is a promo code exclusive to our channel, so be sure to sign up to grab your free access to Softr for 1 month and take advantage of that promo code. Now, first, let's frame exactly what it is we're building and why have we even chosen to work with Softr here. Now, here's the thing. Any application that you build in code or no code is going to have these three components to it. It's at the database layer, it has the workflows or the automation layer, and it has the actual application that your users are accessing. So really quickly, what are those things? Well, the database is where the information lives. This obviously stores the different data components that are going to be visible in the app. It all starts with the database. Next, we have the workflow or the automation layer. This is how information flows. Certain things happen and that has a waterfall effect, a trickle-down effect on the other pieces of data in the environment. In our example, we're going to be taking a look at a workflow where we assign a user to a project, an internal user of our application. Now, of course, this is just an example. There are many different types of workflows that you can build, but the advantage here is that we don't have to use a third-party environment or middleware in order to build a lot of workflows because it can now be handled directly in Softr. And the third layer to any application is the actual app itself. This is the user interface, what people are going to access when they're actually getting into the app. Now, the other advantage to using Softr is they have a really robust AI component. A lot of tools are doing their best to stay competitive with AI, but Softr is really at the forefront, especially with the vibe coding elements that can spin up apps for you in moments. While the AI is really helpful, the real devil is in the details. So we need to make sure that whatever we build on our first prompt aligns with our vision for the application before we take it any further. Let's now jump into Softr, and we're going to start with a prompt that I've already worked up here. I'm just pasting this into Softr. Note that I can tell Softr if I want to work on a database, a workflow, or an app, but this prompt kind of encompasses multiple different layers. But let me call out the different details that I really want to highlight. Number one, we're telling Softr what we want in the database layer. 2 tables, people. Every application has to have a table for people or users. And then the other layer here is projects. And we're calling out the different fields that we want in these tables. So for projects, we have the name, the owner, which is the link. We have the status, the priority, etc. And then we're calling out that the owner field must be a linked record. We don't want to use text. This is going to be important for our actual workflow. And then just a simple app on top, which is going to show a table list of projects, the ability to create and edit a project, etc. We're also asking for a few sample projects so that we have something to look at while we work through the app. So that's it to start. I'm going to say app because, again, it's got multiple layers here. I'm going to hit send, and Softr is going to come back with some questions for me. Now, this is going to take just a moment or two, and the first one is usually, how are the users going to log in? For our purposes, let's go with email and a password. Can people sign up on their own? This is an internal application, so we do not want people signing up. We could go with a restricted domain, but for us, I'll just say, I'll invite my users. And that's it. Nope, we've got a couple of layout choices. Let's go with the top on the desktop and bottom nav bar on the mobile device. Continue. And we get to pick, lastly, our theme. We're going to go with Campfire here. That looks good. Create the app. Now we sit back and wait, and we'll come back when Softr has done the heavy lifting for us. It didn't take long, and Softr has already come back with the first pass from AI. Now we're going to dive into it because I don't love everything. And like I said, AI is going to do the heavy lifting for us, but it's on our shoulders to come back and make sure that it actually put together what we had in mind. So you can see that a lot of steps were executed here. There's a lot that happened, a lot went right, but not everything. Now, the first place I always want to head to is my data layer. So I swing over here to look at my database. Again, this lives in Softr, which means that I don't have to query any other third-party tools. It makes for a much snappier and faster to load app. But you'll see that I've got a table for users and people, and this is not what I envisioned. I wanted the people table to basically be the users table, so we need to prompt Softr to make this change for us. Let's keep looking to see if there's anything else. Here in the projects table, we see that it is correctly linking here. What is it linking to? It is linking to the people table like we asked. So really what we need to prompt Softr to do is to make the users table and the people table the same table, and really just make the people table the table that stores our logged in users' information. Now, because our application is referencing that people table in so many different places, I'm actually wanting to keep the people table because I think that it'll be an easier lift for the AI to make these changes. So I just put together a simple prompt. I'm sending that to Softr, and it's going to think through the changes that we need and consolidate these two tables. So it's asking if we are sure we want to do that. Let's confirm the action, and there we go. Now, it's important that we also read through what the AI is telling us. Oftentimes, I have a tendency to want to go too quickly, but notice that it's saying I can't map the app user's authentication to the people table. So when we flip over to users now, we are going to see that this is probably a broken relationship, and we're going to need to remove the data source connection here, disconnect that entirely. This is the layer of users that actually access our application. And now we can re-add it. We'll go back into Softr databases. We will find the database that we just created here and sync the users of our app to the people table, which is now the table that matters for our purposes. We can map to the email field. We map to the name. And if we have an avatar in here, we can map to that. It looks like we don't have one yet in our people table. We can always add that later. But let's go ahead and save and sync. So this is an important step. Anytime we're going through what AI has done, make sure that it actually put together what you were looking for. And if it didn't, send a couple of follow-up prompts to make sure that you get the right result. Now that we've confirmed the data layer, we can quickly flip into our interface, or the actual app itself. So here you can see that it's calling in on what looks like to be the home page here. It has a little header that's welcoming me as the user. It's showing me the total projects, what's in progress, etc., etc. I can click here in the nav bar, see home, projects, and people. We can flip through the different pages to look at the other people inside the app. We can see the project details, which is the detail page when we click into a project. So overall, this looks pretty solid. Now, of course, if there are things that you don't see in your application that you intended to see, keep going around and round. Either, build this manually or go through the AI prompts so that you have the actual application you're looking for. Now it's time to start building some workflows, because this is the current that runs underneath the application that keeps it vibrant and alive. So for our example, we're going to set up a condition where we have a project. It does not yet have an owner assigned, and we're going to set a default owner to it. So I want, for the purpose of this example, to make myself the default owner. So let's build a prompt. The first thing we do is head over to workflows and we create a new workflow. Now in this case, our trigger is coming from Softr. So I'm going to build it here as a Softr database workflow. And I'll say that the record meets conditions because we want the very specific conditions that a record comes into existence, a project record that does not have an owner assigned. Now we can click through and do all of this ourselves, but it's much easier if we just ask the AI to set this up for us. So let's open the co-builder on the side and put a prompt together for this brand new workflow. Now I've put together a pretty straightforward prompt that basically tells Softr exactly that I want to, when a project record meets the condition where it does not have an owner, I want to find Gareth Pronovost, that's me, in the people table and assign that user to the project. Let's see if Softr's AI is able to put this simple, straightforward workflow together. It took the AI just a couple of seconds, and the framework is built. Pretty straightforward automation. As we said, nothing terribly complicated, no pathing or branching here, but we have to go in and make sure that we've set this stuff up, because even here, the AI is telling us I could only get so far. So let's say project tracker, we're looking at the projects table. What's the condition? The owner is empty. So let's find it. Here that is. So once we have met that condition, let's run a test here. I don't think we actually have any records that meet that condition. So no data is found, not a problem. Then we will assign the owner. So what are we going to do? We're going to assign the owner in the project to a record. We didn't find that record here. So let's go ahead and add the field. And we will click in here. We want to replace the existing value. Of course, there is no value because by default, it means that there is no owner yet assigned, but we'll replace it with this owner. So let's give this step a test as well to make sure that it works. But before we do, we have to configure the test step in front of it. So flipping back to our data, let's just add a new project. So right here, we'll come in with a new project. This will be sample project. I don't need any other information here other than an empty owner field right here. Flipping back to our workflow, we can test this one now. If we run a test, we should find, and we do, that information. And then what happens if we run through this? We didn't put in the record yet, so the record is the record from the first step where we are updating the owner. Let's give this a test. And just like that, it looks like we did correctly add Gareth here, the Gareth person record as the owner of this project. Let's flip back to our data layer to confirm. And you see now that the owner's filled out. So the simple workflow is set. And now anytime a new project comes in and it does not already have an owner, it gets the default owner assigned to it. Now let's dive in with a more complicated example. We're going to go into our workflows again. I'm going to set up a new workflow. And this time, again, sync it to our Softr's database and select record meets condition. When we do this, we're going to now give AI a new prompt to work with, but let's talk through it while the AI is thinking. So we're saying, look, a project comes in and it's updated in the projects table, and we want to route notifications based on its priority. So we are going to trigger this on a record created or updated in projects. I'm really curious to see what Softr comes back with because we have a different trigger here. Then we're going to filter this. Only continue if the status of the particular project is not already done. Then any project that is not done, we want to go through the priority, where if the priority is high, we want to send Slack to the team and send an email on the project. Then if the priority is medium, we want to send an email to the project owner only. And lastly, if the priority is low, we want to update the project record to mark it logged with no notification. Now, this is a significantly more complicated workflow, but this is the kind of thing where Softr not only excels, but also leveraging AI to build the framework for us is going to save us so much time. So here you can see that we already have the framework in place. Number one, it did not remap our initial trigger. We are still on record meets conditions, so we might need to actually update this ourselves. We could replace this trigger with a Softr database where we could say the record is updated in the project tracker on the projects table. And so in order to do this, we actually need a last updated at field. This is not a field that we currently have in our database. Of course, it's easy enough to add. Go back to your database and add a field for last updated at. Moving on in our automation, we did correctly get the filter here that says continue only if status is not done. But because the trigger wasn't properly set up, we still need to set up the filter. So we need to go, when building an automation, step by step, because every step builds on the previous step. Now, putting that aside for now, we can then look at our branched priority. Softr does allow for more advanced workflows, and you can see that here in the branching. We can set up different conditions. Here we have the urgent path. So we can set up the conditions here, rename this to be urgent branch or something of that nature. And then we can set up the rules of what happens if the record was urgent. In this case, we are sending out a message to the Slack channel and then sending out an email. On the other side, if the branch shows that it's like a medium priority, we have different things that we're going through. So as you can see, Softr's workflows are handling more and more complicated processes. And again, the framework largely built by AI. It's not often 100% perfect on the first prompt, but with a little bit of tweaking, this can really start to work wonders for you, and the majority of the heavy lifting is already done. Workflows are live on every Softr plan, including the free tier. So if you're ready to get in and start building an app that runs on autopilot, go ahead and sign up, like I said, using our promo code that we shared at the beginning of the video. Of course, if you'd like a little bit of help building your next app, we do offer free strategy sessions. You can sign up on our website at gapconsulting.io/strategy-call. And one of our team members will join you for a quick call and help get you pointed in the right direction for your next no-code build. That's it for this video. I hope you got a ton of value, but most importantly, keep on building.